I will also say that I did a commercial parody on SNL called The Love Toilet. The Love Toilet.
What's that?
It was two toilets that were built together, facing each other side by side, so that you could take a dump with your loved one at the same time and look at each other's eyes.
Oh,
as
my
you're,
God.
And it was very romantic, and they swiveled, they shot around, and it was a very popular commercial.
I love that.
It was good.
I love that.
Good.
Did you love your time on SNL?
I did. I was on there I felt like I got really lucky being on that show because I didn't do sketches or characters or accents. I was just a stand-up, a really, really good stand-up. And
yes, you were.
So every year
Yes,
I was
you
on
are.
there that I didn't get fired, I thought, okay, I'll stay another year, and I didn't see it as a stepping stone for my career. I saw it as like a career move. I'm just going to stay there as long as they'll have me.
Yeah, but it seems like the hardest job in Hollywood. It's in New York, but I mean, it does seem like the hardest job because somebody once described comedy writing. Like you have to come up with something every week. Comedy writing is like when they ask you to, your job is to shit.
Yeah.
But they don't feed you anything.
Right.
And you got to take a shit every day on an empty stomach.
Yeah.
Maybe nothing funny is happening in the news. Maybe nothing funny is coming to your mind, but you got a live show on Saturday. And that's why you guys are like on Tuesday nights, you're there till 3 or 4 in the morning.
But can you imagine how much material you would come up with if you had to create a 90-minute show every Saturday for yourself, or even like a half-hour show of just new material?
I couldn't do it.
You would hire like 10 writers or whatever and sit around and talk and come up with tons of material.
So it was easier than I'm saying.
It was a breeze. It was a breeze.
No, it wasn't a breeze.
No, it was for me. I realized that it wasn't a sprint in the beginning. It was a marathon. So if a week went by when I didn't come up with something, I didn't beat myself up.
But what about coming up with something and then sitting around? We hear these stories about sitting around in that room where you're pitching it.
Yeah.
To Lorne.
You're pitching it to Lorne and the host for that week.
Right. And
I designed a strategy for that after about 3 or 4 years, because you don't want to give your good idea out there, because if nobody likes it, it'll let the wind out of your sails and you won't write it. And it could be a really good idea.
Right.
Or they'll poo-poo it, So I would go in with the same pitch every day, every Monday to the host, the new host. And
nobody realized that this
No,
is
they all
something-
knew it. They knew, okay, Kevin's going to do his pitch now. Just for the host. And it was a pretty good idea, but I never wrote it up. It was called the runaway truck ramp. Those runaway truck ramps they have in case the brakes
going
fail?
down to Malibu. I always
going
pass
down
one.
Cayman. They have like a long road, gravel. So the truck, if your brakes fail, you could go off into that lane, and the deep gravel will slow the truck down enough until it finally comes to a stop.
Right.
So that was my premise, is I had a bar at the end of a runaway truck ramp, so that the truck driver would come in after this harrowing stop and come into the bar
And buy drinks.
and start drinking like crazy.
That's a
And I
great
tell the
idea.
host that every week, I just thought of this idea. It's the craziest idea, because I didn't want to burn up any of my ideas. I didn't want any of the other writers to
hear it. So
hear it or.
But then, but you also pitched other ideas.
I pitched other ideas, but I didn't pitch my good idea.
Did it become funny though after the umpteenth time of hearing?
Yeah, I would mix it up a little bit. I would say, and then these two clowns come in, it's like a joke that has no punchline.
I love
You
that.
just start adding stuff. But one particular pitch I remember the most was when Christopher Walken was hosting. And across the street at Radio City Music Hall, they had the Russian circus there, and they had dancing bears. And so everyone's pitching to Walken ideas, and he's sitting there kind of, not excited about any idea really, just kind of nodding his head politely. And then I said, the Russian circus is next door at Radio City Music Hall, and they have bears, they have dancing bears. And he goes, I love bear suits. We could do bear suits. And for some reason, that was just a trigger for him. And he loved the idea. It never got written up.
It didn't get written up.
No, we did the truck stop thing. 2 bears came in.
I love that. I love sitting around. I have kind of a similar story where I did a daytime talk show. which for me,
I was on it.
You were on it. Which for me, though, you being on it was a highlight, but it was really tough for me.
I'm sure.
And I wanted to do more comedy. I wanted to talk to people like you, and I didn't want to do makeovers and cooking segments and everything that they force you to do in supposedly daytime television is about. And I wanted to do more comedy, and I wanted the writers to come up with things, and we would write. But the executive producer, who was hired by the studio, wanted us to do more of those other things. So he was against us doing more comedy. He goes, listen, if you want to do comedy, then I'll sit in and I'll monitor the comedy you're doing. And this is not a guy, it was a comedy guy. So I told the whole group of writers that so-and-so is going to sit in and we're going to writing side. He's never even been in a writing room before. And we pitched shit that made no sense. But we would laugh, like somebody would go, how about a bear? And then the whole room would go, the bear, we got to do a bear. And then somebody else from it would go, what if we give the bear a bell? And we would all laugh. And you'd see our executive producer would be taking notes. And then he'd call me after the meeting and goes, I'll be honest with you, I don't get the bear with the bell routine. And it was nothing. And that went on for like weeks.
Cowbells. I love cowbells.
That's a good Walken.
I don't do impressions at all.